So there are so many changes with the DCU. I will get right to it and stick mainly to the facts. I will, yes, do a little bit of a rant lament about Henry Cavill, but let us stick mainly to the facts and get to it. What has happened? Well, apparently now officially Henry Cavill is out. Don't cry for him. He's already going to be working on Warhammer, which he's a big fan of. So in terms of jobs, don't worry. He's fine. He's rich. He's going to become richer. But as Superman, he is now officially out. The Cavill Superman will not be the main Superman they will use for the new DCU. It will be Superman focused, and Gunn has also confirmed Batman will also be a massive part of the new DCU. No confirmation about which exact project. Will it be Robin, Nightwing for next year as well? So it will be Superman. It will be Batman friendly, but not the versions we've seen. There's also no confusion with the Robert version. So the Batman verse is its own thing that will continue to be its own thing. The Penguin TV series will presumably just be within that continuity. And Joker, which is also coming out, will have its own universe. But in terms of the main universe, with James Gunn at the helm, that will be its own Superman, its own Batman, and he's already outlined the basics of what they will and will not do. Some people were panicking. They're just redoing an origin story. He's saying at this point, no, it will not be an origin story, but it will be doing the early years. It will be focused on Clark Kent as a reporter, and that will be the focus of the new Superman film. So it'll be early Superman, not entirely an origin story, but focused on the early years of Superman, but without Henry Cavill. No confirmation yet with Ben Affleck or Gal Gadot. They may continue on, they may not. Probably not at this point, given what we've heard with Wonder Woman 3. So maybe they will have Gal as a cameo and Ben as a cameo in some future appearances, but probably they will recast those roles as well. And Ben is confirmed he will be working with them as a director. They're just talking about which project he will do. So he will stay within the new DCU, but behind the camera, which I think will still be exciting for many fans. And I'll be honest, I didn't like Ben at first, even with BVS, but he's grown on me. So I wish he does continue as Batman. So hopefully he'll do at least a few cameos. So that is where we are. We have the new Superman without Henry Cavill, and presumably a new Batman without Ben Affleck, but they will still be working with DC in some capacity, perhaps as cameos, perhaps behind the scene. So that is where we are. What do I think of it? Well, it's a lot to be said. I guess the main thing is, without getting too angry, though I am somewhat angry, is I recognize this is sort of a budget thing, but also perhaps an ego thing. Most fans who are angry think it's ego. He just wants to set up his own universe, wants to be the new Kevin Feige. But you have to remember, he's a co-chair. He's not running this universe by himself. It is also going to be a business enterprise. And like it or not, and they deserve it, they do deserve these big budgets, they do deserve these big salaries, but these budgets are still very big. And I paid for Black Adam in the theater, so I don't feel any guilt. But Black Adam was disappointing. I think people are exaggerating how disappointing. I think people are exaggerating how bad the film is. I think it was pretty good. I don't feel any shame in saying it's a good film. Please go see it if you can, even though now it's going to go to streaming and DVD soon. But I think it was a good film. Paid for it in theaters. Thought it was a great experience. But financially, whatever its quality, it was disappointing, even with a Henry Cavill cameo. That is the reality. I like the cameo. Thought the cameo was just fine. They didn't keep his classic dark outfit. I understand all that, but I think it was reasonable with what they were trying to do. I thought it was a really good, interesting preview, but then now this happens, so we don't still know the order of events. So it seems like with the end of the Hamada universe and Walter Hamada leaving, that let Henry Cavill back in, but that intermediate stage where they were trying to figure out what are we going to do next, when Gunn officially signed on, Henry was no longer going to be a part of that plan. That doesn't mean he dislikes Henry. There's no evidence of that, but he may not fit financially or visually or in terms of the marketing of what they want to do with the new DCU. So as a Snyder and Henry Cavill fan, I'm not taking this well. I'm very worried. My judgment so far will be that I do think they will do some very good stuff with the minor characters. Because again, whatever else Gunn is a comic book nut, he knows a lot of the continuity with the comics. So he's very well versed there. And they are going to bring in a lot of new, interesting people. So I think with the minor characters, I have a lot of confidence. Those film projects will be very strong. That's been the strong point of DC films, at least to date, is letting both new and established people work with some of the more minor characters. But in terms of the main continuity, I'm very worried that a huge part of it will just be a very silly, will just be a weird Disney MCU version of stories we've already seen, like Smallville, Superboy, which I like. We covered the young Superman, so it's not clear they're going to be breaking new ground. It just feels like they're just going to recycle old content, slap some new paint on it, and just sell it off as really great and new and improved, but I have my doubts. So we don't know the official slate, but it will be a Superman, Batman-centric universe, but without Henry Cavill. He's moved on to new things. He left a very, I think, classy, nice final message. I wouldn't give up on the Snyderverse because I do think parts of this new universe will not work out. It will not financially succeed, and they'll just go back to Snyder and say, okay, do you have a few unfinished projects? We'll do that. So I don't lament the Snyderverse. It'll come back in a couple years down the road, but it does seem like Henry will not be the main Superman. I know where this is going to go. They're going to have a kind of multiverse battle of the Superman at the very end where they all team up or fight one another, like No Way Home with Spider-Man. So it all feels very corporate, very safe. I understand it's a business, but I just don't agree as a business move. I think, to me, Henry Cavill is a safe bet, but again, they probably look at the numbers and are like, the costs are just too high, it's too risky, we got to move forward in a new direction. I'm mainly skeptical where they're going. Open-minded, but I think for the most part, I don't think this is the right decision or the right direction. I am pretty biased, but that is my opinion. I think some of this will be fine within the main core, but I think mainly it's the minor films that will be more interesting. But the main films, I feel, will just be silly MCU nonsense, and sometimes that works, but a lot of times it does not work.